Hey, everybody, it's Mo, your host here at Real Relationships, Real Revenue. I'm with Jane Allen. This is our third of 5 episodes. She's one of the most inspiring entrepreneurs I've ever worked with. We got to work with her when she was the founder and CEO of Counsel on Call, which became Legility, which became the largest legal service provider ever, and essentially invented the entire category. She's now CEO of the Nashville Entrepreneurial Center. So now she's paying it forward, teaching other people to have the success that she's had. Really, really cool stuff. And I find Jane very inspiring. And the way that she goes about things, I just think there's a tremendous amount to learn from Jane. You're going to love, love, love this episode. So before we get into it, know that if you want our latest thinking on how you can deepen relationships and do it quickly, go over to growbigplaybook.com. That's where you can download our white paper, and it has even 7 methods to deepen relationships quickly, including even scripts that you can copy, paste, tailor, make your own, personalize them, and use them right away. We're making it really easy for you to get the ball rolling. And you do that at growbigplaybook.com. All right, here's Jane Allen, founder and former CEO of Counsel on Call, which became Legility, and the current CEO of the Nashville Entrepreneurial Center. Hey everybody, Mo Bunnell here. This is the third of 5 episodes with Jane Allen. Jane is CEO of the Nashville Entrepreneurial Center. She's now helping other people codify the business they want, figure out how to start it, and figure out how to scale it. And she's had so much success herself doing this. Now she's building out systems to help all of you. So I think that's neat, Jane. You have 2 pieces to all that you can help our audiences. One is telling you how you did what you did, and also telling how you help people do it now. So in this episode, 3 of 5, I want to know what's your, in the Snowball System or GrowBIG Training, anything, what's your favorite science, step, or story?
Wow. When we engaged GrowBIG, we had amazing people that had believed in this vision and had come on board, all lawyers. And we were all being salespeople. And again, we never really thought of it that way, but that's what we did, because we would try to work to help our clients or prospective clients solve problems. And so it was clear we needed help. And so we brought in Mo and the GrowBIG team. And I think the most fascinating thing, and this is probably the most basic, and this may not be what you want to hear, but was the personality testing, because we had all been on calls and you just couldn't connect, and and you'd walk away thinking, oh my God, that guy just hated me. And then you realize, oh my God, they're a processor. I mean, so it just almost validated meetings we had in our past, but it also set us up to really better prepare for meetings in the future. And then we all evaluated each other and knew how to approach one another and how to work better together. And so that was really, even in talking to the team, like that was, the light bulbs were just going off in everybody. And it was just that basic, because that was somewhat the foundation from which then we grew, and with you and your team and the coach, and and help create a sales program.
You did. And to build on that, one of the things that I thought you did exceptionally well, and I don't know if you even realize this, I don't know if I've ever shared it, honestly, is you scaled things. I mean, Jane, though, you had a systems mindset where you had scaled, all this staffing side of things, recruitment, finding amazing people that wanted to practice law but didn't fit into the big law firm kind of model or the in-house model, and you found a way for them to live the life they want but still have a big impact as practicing as a lawyer and make the money they want and all those things. And then with that systems mindset, you did a better job of scaling across a big organization, all the whole business development system that we work together on, better than anybody else. Like, you did a great job of helping people talk to each other, talk about the skills, talk about the techniques, get better, fine tune, coach each other, all those kind of things. What are your thoughts around the idea that business development is a system, that it's teachable, that people can help each other get better at it? Talk about that scale perspective, because I think you have a really unique perspective there.
No, that's fascinating. You had never shared that, so thank you. And just
Yeah, it's true.
all Counsel on Call staffing, we were a legal services company, and we came up with
Yeah.
that terminology. And my people, we were placement coordinators, and we were client managers or whatever. So I mean, we were just we wanted to create something that didn't exist. And but yes, and so that was somewhat, and at the same time, I do think that's how is efficiency would probably be the word that sort of drives me in a lot of ways, is how can we do things more efficient? And so I think with your training and how we scaled it is, how do you grow, but yet not lose the personal relationship? And the communication is at the key of that. I mean, even as we would go into a client and we're trying to allow all these different arms to work together, it was, you've got to have a central hub of communication, because otherwise people are going to do things and they're going to do it wrong. And then you have to go back and redo it. And that's expensive. And so it was always about efficiency, but yet keeping that personal relationship with communication. And so I think that as we grew and, once we implemented, we just set that as a priority. We also would role play with each other. We all have been lawyers. I mean, I've been in a decision to make, I've been in positions to make decisions on behalf of the firm or a client. And so we would role play and learn and critique. And if you can get through that and be on videotape and, as if you can get through that, and then you can get through anything. So I think it really was. But so we tried to make it fun, and we'd pretend we'd have a mock cocktail party, and, we would just do all those things so that, and then, we're all lawyers. So, somebody would drop a clue, and did they pick up on the clue or did they not? And if they didn't, were you already talking instead of really listening? So it was just, we just took everything we learned and we tried to make it real and try to make it fun, and we tried to practice it.
Yeah. Well, and the other thing, I 100% agree. I remember it well. And the other things is that you created databases.
Oh, yeah.
So give to gets. Everybody logged their give to gets, and you would sort of track, this one worked, this one didn't as well. What do we change? Objections. How do we handle when we get this question? What question do we ask back? What are different? Third thing, how do we ask for the next step in a way that's meaningful, helpful, maybe as a proactive problem solver? Everybody go back and watch the last episode. Mm-hmm. So like one of the things that really stands out about that working with you was how you systematize things, how you helped people use the skills and continue to evolve. I mean, the team was building these databases, not you, like they were doing it together. They were winning, they were getting traction. And then that last piece, people were having fun. Like it felt like a winning team mentality. It was exciting to be around. So was that all purposeful? I mean, obviously we're trying all kinds of different ways to make that work. But from your perspective, remembering back, were you focusing on all that stuff, like systematizing practice and fun, or that was natural? What were you thinking?
Probably a little of both. I mean, I had, when I had started, it was just me. And then when I hired when the first few people came on board and believed in what I was doing, or what we were doing, it was Greg and me, but I was doing the sales, what we were doing, it was just come in and do what Jane does and learn by osmosis. And then it became really clear, well, that really doesn't work. And so you had to take what you do naturally and actually start creating, process. And so again, for me, it was how many calls to get a meeting and how many meetings to get an order. And so you're hiring people and they want to know how much money they can make. And so it's like, well, in order to get this many people working, and then you're going to have to make probably this many calls. And then it's really fun because also goal oriented, that would challenge, I want to get it less. I mean, so if I make a call, I want an order, and, and so that was just sort of in my DNA. And I think, Greg was also very much, the business has to be bigger than the individual. And you have to capture the data so that we can help learn and grow and evolve. And he was a big believer in you write everything down so that you can measure. So even if I went to an event, it would be, what am I going to accomplish at this event? Because let's face it, guys, I'd rather be home with my family. I mean, no offense, but it was like, I'm taking time out in an evening to go to an event. So what do I want to accomplish? And
Yes.
write it down and leave it in my car. And then go to the event knowing I have to go back in my car and I have to look at that piece of paper and I've got to give myself a grade. And so I'm an internally competitive person and I don't want an F. And so and I would go to an event because it was somebody I couldn't get a meeting with otherwise. And so it would be, I'm going to have to suck it up, put my shoulders back, walk up and introduce myself and convince that person why she should meet with me. And, and so then you either do it or you don't. And then if you do it, it either works or it didn't. And I think it's just being very intentional. So then and that's a very granular way, but it did help us as we were growing. We needed to know because I would have somebody, I went on 30 calls, but productivity was 0. Well, let's be real. Going out to have coffee with your friends, that isn't really a call. And so let's be real about these things. And so let's really start documenting and tracking. And it was also accountability, but it also helped us grow so that we could then tell others when they came on board, basically, here's how long it takes in order to really start, bringing in business. And so for me, metrics, and that's what we did in the profession, quite honestly, is we went from helping women stay in the profession to being a metrics-driven organization to allow lawyers to have budgets and be able to have visibility. So,
well, this is so good, Jane. And I think everybody go back and watch the first episode with Jane. If you're dropping on this one's really good. It's awesome. But I want you to hear how Jane tells the original story of starting Counsel on Call, why, some of the metrics she tracked and all that. So we don't need to rehash that now, Jane, because it's already in episode 1. We're in episode 3. But everybody, seriously, if you're dropping on this one, go back and listen to the first one. It was awesome. It'll provide you context for this question. So with that said, you started the business, Jane, by pulling back and trying to create a scorecard for yourself. Metrics, and this is nuance in what you said, but there were metrics that you could control. And I think that's really interesting. Mm-hmm. So tell me just your personal belief. You don't have to worry about what words are in Grow Big or whatever, but just for your personal viewpoint on folks, especially around business development, pulling back to metrics they can control and tracking them so that they can have success over the long haul.
Get real. I think at the end of the day, and get real by being honest. It's the 30 cup of coffees. If you're not really meeting with people who are decision makers who could actually make the purchase or can help you get to that, is that really a good use of your time? Everyone I would think that's watching is in sales and they may be past this point, but at the end of the day, it really is about being honest on how you spend your time and then being very deliberate on what you do with the time that you have.
This is gold. And so if you were talking to somebody that had already developed their deep technical expertise, they're a really, really great expert in whatever it is, but they're having trouble finding the people to hire them. What would be your words of wisdom for them?
How are you different? Why? Because I'm already doing business with somebody. So why would I change? And when I'm going to change, I'm taking a risk. So how are you going to eliminate my risk to make me look better? Yeah, I like that. So focusing first on how you're different, then maybe the next step might be who would hire somebody in that role. Maybe they know that, maybe they don't, figuring that out. And then you're making proactive problem solving kind of outbound efforts to get in front of them. Like your story about writing the list in the car. I'm going to go to this event because the people I need to meet are there and I need to introduce myself to X many of them. Right. And I was thinking I have the meeting, but yes, at the end of the day, mine was, I would look and say, okay, here's an event. Here are the people that are going to be speaking, or here are the people that are going to be there. Can I pick up the phone and get the meeting? If so, why do I need to go to the event?
Oh,
If
yeah.
I can't, then it's worth my time to go to the event. But by gosh, if I'm going to the event, I'm going to maximize my time because I'm
Yeah.
at least going to connect with the person and know whether I can get a meeting and or get them on the phone to at least talk to me about what it is I'm doing, because I also don't want to sell them at an event, but I want them to be willing to take my phone call or all the way to the meeting.
Yes, fantastic. And the common thread through a lot of what you said is really getting focused on your limited amount of time and how do you make the most of that, as opposed to fooling yourself like I'm doing BD when I'm not doing BD kind of things.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
Exactly.
powerful. Yeah, well, I'll share this. You may remember this. Just this conversation had me thinking back to some of the metrics we used when we worked together, and we had some quality metrics like give to gets offered. And if you remember that, and boy, that spiked up over time once we learned the proper way to make an investment in an organization we don't do work with. And the other thing we measured was a quantity measured, which was hours spent on true business development activities. And man, remember that we created definitions. This counts. This doesn't.
Right.
And so going to lunch with your law firm friends that aren't in a decision making role, that does not count.
Right.
And when we measured the quality and the quantity, in this case, the give to get offered and the number of hours spent on business development per week, man, results that were already good got better. And that was sort of cool.
Yeah. I mean, I think that's the reason when you asked that, get real was sort of my first thought, because that was always the challenge. And so you all definitely helped us with that by the metrics and then defining what is really a business development and what is really, and what is a good give to get. So yes, thank you for that reminder. Mm-hmm.
No, it was fun. It just popped in my mind from long ago. Quality metric. The point of that is quality for the audience, not for you, Jane. You already know it, but quality metrics and quantity metrics. If you can get one of each that really matches your book of business, your relationships that you're trying to develop out in the marketplace, boy, that can be a really powerful combination. One quality and one quantity metric. All right, Jane. People are going to want to reach out to you. They're going to say thank you for this awesome episode. Maybe learn more about what you're doing as CEO of the Nashville Entrepreneurial Center. Where should they go?
Yes, www.ec.co. And my email is jane.allen@ec.co. We're a nonprofit, been here 11 years in Nashville and working to surround entrepreneurs with resources to increase their probability of success.
I love it. Folks, and Jane has had so much success on her own, and now she's helping others achieve the great things that she's achieved. It's a pretty cool role. So Jane, thanks a ton for being on the show, everybody. Don't forget, subscribe, follow, set up those notifications, all that stuff, because we got 2 more awesome episodes coming your way with Jane.
All right. Thank you.